Good evening. It is Friday, October 8th, 2021, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I am your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
Hello, Parker.
And nothing's working right. You know that?
That happens.
It's just a little off. Early. It's okay. It happens, though. All right, so we're live streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, www.lambsports.com. You can find links to the past shows and the current trivia question on there. The first segment of the show is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's, I didn't even start it right. Yeah, it's premier indoor shooting destination. I did start it right. See, I even remembered without even reading the copy. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof at The Range. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. So, is this you?
This is me.
Right here. I mean, this picture. Is that you?
Yeah.
Just
That's me.
just sitting around waiting.
Except no, I'm not that bored because I'm happy with the NFL's back.
Yeah.
And college football.
Yeah.
That's what I wait most of the year for, and then the NBA I get most fired up about, but I want to watch football more than I want to watch basketball.
Really? Okay.
If there's a Blazer game on and a Duck game on and a Bronco game on, I'm going Ducks, Broncos, Blazers in that order.
Nice. No, there were multiple memes, and one of them actually said, "The guys, I'm sitting here watching NFL football, just waiting for basketball," and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of. I mean, some people.
Yeah.
But it's.
I definitely love the NBA. It's just not my preference.
It's right around the corner, though.
It really is.
The Ducks lost last Saturday. They're not out of the playoff picture yet. The Beavers beat Washington for the first time in 10 years. The Timbers are still the hottest team in Major League Soccer. Major League Baseball is in the playoffs, which is now when we decide we want to cover it because everything else to this point has been, set up.
Snoozy.
Yeah, the Chargers win another big game. NBA is starting on the 19th. The Blazers start on the 20th. And NHL starts next Tuesday on the 12th. The Kraken and the Las Vegas Knights, by the way. In the second half of a doubleheader to open the season. I know, right? The last two expansion teams. It's going to be exciting. I mean,
exciting stuff.
The Kraken may only win 10 games this year, but it'll still be exciting. That's all I can say.
We'll be happy to watch them.
Every bit of it. So we're going to do the trivia question right now before we get started because it's NBA related, and it's not until the very end. So I don't want to cram it into you. I want to give you time to think about it. Stave & Stone trivia question. There are 4 players in NBA history that have played for 12 different teams in their NBA careers. That's the record, by the way. So
wow.
I need you to name 2 of them. 2 of the 4, only half. So 12.
How many of them have played in the last 10 years?
At least 2.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me look. In the last how many years?
10 years.
At least 1.
Okay. So only one of them's played in the last 10 years.
Barely.
And that's because he played 2011.
Gotcha. Yeah. But they're not that old. I mean, the oldest one on here quit playing basketball in 2002. So not that old.
Huh.
But so there you go. So there's 4 of them. I just need 2. So, I mean, you got it's multiple choice. This is easy. This is a gimme. I didn't ask you to name all 4.
Okay.
I mean, as far as trivia questions go. So the number 3 Oregon Ducks, or they used to be number 3, lost a tough overtime game to Stanford on the road, 31-24. After being down 17-7 at the half. And let's be honest, they didn't look great in the first half. It was not Duck-esque. But the way they've been playing this year kind of was. They're kind of slow starters again this year, like they used to be when Chip Kelly was first took over. But so they're down 17-7 at the half. They started to take control in the second half. They scored 17 straight points, took a 24-17 lead with 9.5 minutes to go in the game. Teams then exchanged punts. The Cardinal got the ball on their own 13 with 1:53 left. And then there was an incomplete pass and 2 false start penalties, and it was 2nd and 19 from their own 4. And then there's a 23-yard completion. Gets them out of the end zone. And then a combination of 3 completions and 2 penalties, giant penalties, moved them
Giant.
downfield to the Oregon 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were in scoring position. The Oregon made a stand, had them at 4th and goal from the 4. That play resulted in a defensive holding call in the end zone, which gave him a first down. And then McKee hits Elijah Higgins for a 2-yard score to tie it up. Stanford scored a touchdown on their overtime possession. McKee finding Humphrey's 14-yard gain. Oregon's OT possession was pretty dismal. Incomplete pass, 3-yard run, completed pass for a loss of 1. And then the last one was a scrambling Anthony Brown chucking the ball downfield in a kind of desperation.
Yeah.
So what are your takeaways from this game? What did you learn about Oregon in this? Well, and let me also say, C.J. Verdell lost for the season.
Yeah.
Bennett Williams is out for the season. Safety Bennett Williams. So they're losing players too. What was your takeaway from this game after watching it? What went wrong, I guess? What is your biggest complaint about this game?
What went wrong is that Mario Cristobal is not an offensive play caller. He's not an offensive play caller in any way, shape, or form. And we relied on him, or he decided, I guess the better way to think about that, he decided that in the absence of our offensive coordinator, who was out with an illness, who actually, I think we have found out now he was having surgery. He's still in San Francisco. But he decided he was going to call the plays, like he did last year or a couple years ago or whatever, because last year we had Arroyo. But he's just not that guy. And there's nothing wrong with our team, with our unit. There's just, we have injury issues. We've got big injury issues right now. We're losing players left and right. We have 7 by the end of that game, or by towards the end of that game after Kayvon got ejected, we were down 8 starters.
Yeah.
So, and an offensive coordinator. So you can imagine how that wreaks havoc on your team. But I didn't walk away from this going, oh, here's the glaring hole with the Ducks. It's the defense. Or, oh, here's the glaring problem with the Ducks. It's the offense. I walked away going, well, damn it, if we called some good plays, the offense might not look so bad. And damn it, if we called some good plays, the defense might not look so bad. I'm not to the point yet where I'm blaming the players. And this is consistent, though, over the last few years that Mario Cristobal has been here. Whenever I start to get upset with the Ducks and the way they're playing, I am pointing at Cristobal, because I'm not seeing this as, oh, this guy's bad. Last year I got a little peeved at Tyler Shuck because he just did not make the best decisions. But I don't think Brown's making bad decisions. He's not turning the ball over like crazy. I think he threw a pick this game, and it was on a 3rd down or something like that, and he just turned to the right. And it was a play that he's not supposed to think about. Take a snap and throw the ball. And he took the snap and threw the ball, and they were there. Right. It's no longer his job. That's, if the coach could have done it himself, he would have.
Right.
So I didn't walk away from this thinking the Ducks have these issues. I walked away from this going, man, Mario Cristobal needs to let go of play calling. He can keep defense, because our defense still did very well. We damn near shut him out for the entire second half. Right. We did fantastic in the second half, but we couldn't score. We couldn't get our offense going fast enough to overcome a 17-point or 10-point deficit, whatever we had at the half. Couldn't get our offense moving. So I just think that we need more head back real bad.
Yeah, that would definitely be helpful. Ducks are still number 8 in the latest AP poll, and they still have a chance at a playoff spot. If they take care of business, everything else ahead of them will take care of itself, and they'll be there.
People will lose. Yeah.
A one-loss Pac-12 champion in an overtime game on the road is not going to keep them out of the playoff this year. Right. Maybe in years
especially
past,
if they win the North over Stanford down the stretch.
Correct, and that's sketchy also, because you now need Stanford. You need help. You
need Stanford to lose, and Stanford goes on the road this weekend to Arizona State.
Yeah,
so that's a very fortunate circumstance.
Yeah,
Stanford has a lot of opportunities to lose, and Stanford just lost their number 1 wide receiver in that game in an absolutely brutal manner.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Stanford's
a good football team. Don't get me wrong. They're not great. They're not a college football playoff team. They're not even probably a Pac-12 title type team, but they are good enough to beat you if you aren't playing your best game, as evidenced by this game. But they're just good enough to be dangerous, and they play that Stanford offense, which is really frustrating. for most teams when you play defense against them. The
Yeah,
two tight
eight
ends
eight
and
linemen.
yeah. They bring in like 7 tight ends and run the short short game, and you're like, man.
And they're content to get 4 yards
Yeah.
and then do it again.
Right. Yeah.
And get 4 yards and then do it again and get 2 yards and then go for it on 4th and inches, QB sneak it, and then start all over.
Just like Novocaine, give it time, it always works.
It
And,
is aggravating to watch.
Yeah, you're
because unless you put in your offensive lineman on the defensive line, you don't have that many defensive linemen really to cover up all of those guys.
Right.
And not all of them are going to shed these blocks, especially when they jam together and create a wall and slide.
Yeah.
Like it's just such a difficult thing to overcome, but it's not. Yeah, that's why you have to score early. You have to put them in a position where they have to pass.
Right.
If they feel comfortable running the ball, you are toast, and it's been that way for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Ever since Harbaugh left and Shaw got there.
Yeah, I was gonna say ever since David Shaw came in, that's
Yeah.
his MO is let's just punish him up front and run over him.
I feel like David Shaw looked around at practice on his first day and goes, "We got a lot of big dudes here.
What can I do with these guys?
What can I do with these guys?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "You know what? We're just gonna run right behind them."
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Can any of these guys catch? No. Well, can you block?
No.
Okay, good. Let's do this.
Christian McCaffrey was a 2,000-yard rusher behind
Right.
him and pass catcher. He caught a lot of passes behind the line of scrimmage and then ran behind those big guys.
And let's be honest, Christian McCaffrey in college football looked like that, Reggie Bush style guy that could just do any faster than you, quicker than you, elusive.
Whatever he wanted.
Yeah, whatever you wanted to do, he could do it. But anyway, so Ducks are off this week. They do play Cal next Friday on the 15th. That's an ESPN game. I think it's at 7 or 7:30. I can't remember the time. I didn't write it down.
Probably 7:30. It's late.
Usually it's a late game. That Kayvon Thibodeau is going to miss the first half because of his ejection. He'll miss the first half of the Cal game. It shouldn't matter against Cal. But I mean, there's injuries piling up, and we'll see. And the injury to Verdell, Travis Dye's a capable back. I don't think he's that guy you're going to give, 30 carries to, but neither one of them has been so far this year. And my question is this. You have these 2 juniors on your roster, in Verdell and Dye, and 7 freshmen running backs on your roster. And where is Sean Dollars? Trey Benson. I swear we saw them earlier in the year, like in the non-con games, but we haven't seen them since.
I think you're getting to that point of the year where you're talking about burning red shirts.
Yeah, someone's going to
You're
have to
talking
come
about,
out.
I got a bunch of guys, and they can play whenever they want. They'll suit up every game as long as they don't go in. They can keep their red shirt. So if they're getting it done, whatever. But I think that at some point you have to start going, man, Travis Dye is good. And if we're going to – sorry, Travis, not Troy.
Yeah, Travis.
And if we're going to use him, let's stick with it. Because he does a very specific thing very well. He runs between the tackles decently, but he runs – a little better like off guard, just slightly towards the outside.
Right.
And use that. And that's fine. But we've got this guy named Seven McGee. Seven McGee is a big time recruit.
Yep.
And he is a decent size at 5'9", 181. Mm-hmm. I'd love to use him, but even more than that, I think we need a bruiser right now. We have a 6'1", 215-pound running back named Trey Benson that I am dying to watch.
Yeah. And
let's use him.
Aaron Smith, 5'11", 211 freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, those are big guys. That's carrying a load when you hit someone with 200 pounds and you get a head of steam up. The other person that I would tell you that could be, there's 2 of them that could be versatile, and Jalen Redd, didn't he start as a running back?
Yeah, and he moved to wide receiver last year, I think.
So I mean, I think he knows how to play running back. I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't carry. He's a short guy though. He's 5'9", 170. He's not huge, not much bigger than Dye. Or I don't think he is. I think he's smaller than Travis Dye. But anyway, they also what about Micah Pittman? 5'11", 206. I know he's your wide receiver. I get it. But you could use him in a pinch to run a ball because he's got good size. He's solid. Devin Williams, sophomore he's 6'5", 207. Might be a little tall for running back. But anyway, those guys have
all these guys.
some beef to them. Yeah, the Ducks are carrying 16 wide receivers on their roster, something like that.
But it's just are you going to burn your red shirts on these freshmen? CJ presumably would have been gone after this year.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to happen now if he's going to be able to get a medical shirt or something like that.
Right.
Go be a super senior for 7 years at Oregon.
Well, he's only a junior, so he's got one more year anyway. So he's
I
got
guess
one
that's
more year.
true,
Yeah.
but he wouldn't want to waste a year. I mean, so
No.
I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. And then
Right.
Dye's been around for a while, but Dye's role isn't going to get any bigger or better. So he's going to
Yeah.
have to decide, like, are you comfortable with what you've got? He's a junior also. Are you comfortable with what you got? Or are you going to make that try and make that jump to the NFL? He has. I don't think he has an NFL future, but you're right. Let's use some of these other running backs. You
Unless
have all these guys. Let's burn the red shirt on maybe one or two of them.
unless he fills in as a special teams guy, Travis Dye. You know what I mean? Not necessarily
That's
returner, but a
true.
coverage guy because he's fast and those they have those guys.
Yeah,
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know. But
true.
we'll see. We'll know more after they play Cal next week. I think the week off is going to do them some good. Regroup and you got to plug in new players and get them used to playing in the system. So it can't hurt to have a week off this
Yeah.
week. Let's talk about Oregon State for just a minute.
Okay.
The Beavers are the leaders of the Pac-12 North right now at 4-1, after beating Washington for the first time in 10 years, 27-24 in Corvallis. It was all running game for the Beavers. They had 242
Right.
yards on 50 rush attempts. That's a lot of plays just to run the
Yeah.
football. B.J. Baylor, 111 yards on 20 carries, 2 touchdowns. He's been really good all year. He's looks like a real good running back. The teams they played, I know, not necessarily the best teams in football, but he looks solid. When Oregon State was beating Oregon, they run the ball all over him. What Ryan Nall, you know, carried the ball 100 times.
That was that one. That was that one time.
Yeah, but I mean, they look anyway. So B.J. Baylor looks like the real thing. They as well as they did on the ground, they were trailing 24-17 with 10:02 left in the fourth quarter, and it came down to an Everett Hayes 24-yard field goal as time expired that gave Oregon State the victory. So, are you any kind of impressed with Oregon State at this point?
I really want to be. I want to be impressed. My problem is I'm hard to impress because you went on the road to Purdue and you played a good game, but I just never felt like Purdue was going to lose.
Right.
Just didn't seem that way. Didn't have that vibe to it. Then you play Hawaii. Well, it's Hawaii. I kind of expect you to beat them. I expect Oregon State to win their non-conference games. I'm more surprised when they lose to a Colorado State like they did like 2 years ago. And I'm like,
Right.
what the heck happened?
Yeah.
Than I am when they win them. If you win them, that's great. And then you go on the road, then you're at home and you beat Idaho. You kick the crap out of them, 42-0. Congratulations, their division, their FCS. So
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned. The USC win on the road impressed me.
Yeah.
It impressed me big because that wasn't just a little win. They smoked them
Yeah.
on the road. I was like, whew,
And
that's dangerous.
that was right after USC had struggled to start at Washington State, and then we thought they had put it all together, and they scored 45 points against Washington State on the road. I was thinking, okay, well, they figured it out. They fired their coach. The guys got fired up, rallied, and then they come out and they laid an egg against Oregon State. I'm like,
Well, and that's another thing. So I know I'm trying to rationalize the process, and I'm thinking, okay, well they smoked.
there it goes again. Yep, and there it goes. Technical difficulties on our end. This Skype connection, I'm telling you, sometimes we have some issues. Broadwidth or bandwidth issues that, it's okay. So Parker's out for just a minute.
You-
Yep, let's try resetting it.
Hey, you there?
Hey, you're back.
I don't know what happened. It was all
It-
still there for me.
It just decided to not hear
Eh.
anything, and then, it is what it is. It's a Skype thing. It's, we're running a lot of stuff here, and you're running a lot of stuff, and I know it's a bandwidth
Is what it
issue, and yeah. Anyway,
Bottom line is, down the stretch, Oregon State's going to have to play some actual teams that aren't in turmoil.
yeah,
Washington's dealing with a new coach, a fairly new coach. USC's dealing with their crisis, and then the other three teams that they played, well, two of them were Idaho and Hawaii, and one of them was Purdue, and they lost. So they got Washington State up next. That's a team that's they have a new coach.
Yep.
But then they have a little streak here where they play Utah, who's had a coach for a long time and is usually a pretty good team. And then they round out their season with Stanford, Arizona State, and Oregon. Those 3 games at the end, if they haven't already dropped a game or two, those 3 games at the end will tell you what you need to know about them. But
Yeah.
I mean, they could be easily 7 or 8 and 1 coming into those 3 games.
You're right. So the rest of the Pac-12 over the weekend, Arizona State beat number 20 UCLA 42-23 in Pasadena. Arizona State looks like a real team. Their losses to what, BYU?
Yeah, that was a bad loss too.
Yeah, but BYU's beaten everybody so far, so I don't know.
It just didn't look good though.
I know. Yeah, they didn't. You're right. And they that was we'll talk about. We don't talk about that now. That was in the past. We don't talk about that. UCLA did not score in the second half. Turned the ball over on downs the last 3 times they had the ball. But that's a Chip Kelly thing, going for it on fourth down. That's a normal deal. But they were losing. They kept going
the numbers
for it.
are in the favor.
Yeah.
That's what the LA Chargers this
Yeah.
past weekend, they went for it 4 times on fourth down.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying is that nobody's always 100% sure why, if it's fourth and less than 2, why you don't go for it. The numbers are dramatically in your favor.
Right.
Like,
so
just do it.
yeah, I mean your 2 yards should be easy to get, you would think, but not always. USC beat Colorado 37-14 in Boulder. That's because Colorado's still struggling offensively. Washington State got its first conference win of the year. They beat Cal at Berkeley 21-6. So that was 3 road teams that won, right? And then Oregon State and Stanford both won at home. But so this week, Friday, the Friday night game, that's tonight, by the way, on ESPN. If you're watching it, it starts in about, 45 minutes? 30 minutes. That is Stanford at number 22 Arizona State. So we'll know more about Stanford.
All right, let's go Arizona State.
Right? Saturday, Oregon State at Washington State. That's 1 p.m. on the Pac-12 network. Utah is at USC, 5 o'clock p.m. on Fox. And UCLA plays at Arizona, 7:30 on ESPN on Saturday. The rest of the scores from the nation, there's a few that are noteworthy. Number 1, Alabama beat number 12, Ole Miss, 42-21 in the Popcorn Bowl. I don't remember what he said about popcorn, but whatever. Lane Kiffin says some stuff, and it's just Lane Kiffin. It's okay. Number 2, Georgia beat number 8, Arkansas, 37-0. Now, I thought Arkansas might have been a little overrated. They jumped them way up there real quick, but I didn't think they were that Georgia would do that to them, honestly.
I agree with that. I still am not sure that Arkansas is that bad, or just that Georgia, sometimes teams just get up for certain games and things like that. But I mean, that was a thumping. Like, it definitely impacted my view of what Arkansas was offering. I never thought they were a top 10 team.
Right.
And this just kind of solidifies that thought, but it still doesn't take them out of like your top 20 to me.
Right. Georgia in 5 games has given up 23 points. Just FYI. One of those is Vanderbilt, where they didn't give any points. But it's still, I mean, we thought
if there was relegation, Vanderbilt would already be FCS.
Right? They should have been a long time ago.
That's important to note.
And I wish they'd do that. I wish that's something I'm in favor of, but it'll never happen.
I agree, but the problem is Oregon State would be FCS right now.
Well, they would have been unless they fought their way back out. That's the thing. You can get promoted too. If
you're up and you're down, you can kind of come in and out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not giving Georgia any credit for hanging 56 on UAB and hanging 40 on South Carolina and hanging 62 on Vanderbilt. And the 2 best teams you've played, you've hung 10, and then kudos to you. You hung 37 on. And in those 2 games, you only gave up 3 points.
And Clemson is not good. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Clemson's not. They cannot score on anybody. It wasn't just you guys. So whatever. But anyway, they're still their next 3 games are going to tell the story. At Auburn versus Kentucky and versus Florida. There's 3 ranked teams in a row that they get to play. That's the heart of their schedule, because after that it's Missouri, Tennessee, Charleston Southern, and Georgia Tech. That's nobody. So if they're going to lose, they're going to have to do it to one of these 3 teams. If they're not, then they're going to be playing Alabama in the SEC championship game, and both teams would probably get in. But we're ahead of ourselves. So number 4, Penn State over Indiana, 24-0. Indiana was ranked at the beginning of the season. Does anybody remember that? Like number 14, I think, to start the season. Penn State is now number 3. Is that right? Or did they stay 4? I can't remember. Number 5, Iowa. Is that right?
I thought they moved up.
They might have.
Pull it up.
They might have. Let me look at this.
Penn State's number 4 in the AP, and Iowa's number 3 in the AP.
3. So Iowa jumped over Penn State. somehow.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, because Iowa won 51 to
Moved up
14
moved up
against
2. Yeah.
Maryland. I mean, that was I didn't think that was a big win. Maryland, okay. And then number 6 Oklahoma survived again at Kansas State, 37-31. They're playing with fire. I think it's just a matter of time, and it might be this week in the Red River rivalry against Texas that they get their comeuppance. But I don't think Texas is that good, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
but Texas is ranked, so watch out now.
And they're back again.
And I'll
Um,
give them this. They are 4-1. Normally by now they have 2 losses.
and they are 4-1. Yeah.
Normally by now.
Eh. Um, Cincinnati beat Notre Dame, number 9 Notre Dame, 24-13 at Notre Dame, and that was their only chance to impress the college football playoff committee, in my opinion.
And they did.
And they did. I think it's a
Yeah.
great win, and this may be the year you see Cincinnati, if they can finish out, get into the college football playoff, which would kind of steal a thing. If Alabama and Georgia both go unbeaten in the regular season, both those teams are going to get in the playoff. And if Cincinnati goes unbeaten at this point, how are you going to keep them out? You're going to need some chaos if you're Oregon at that
Yeah.
point. That would be disastrous. You kind of need Cincinnati to lose, but we'll see. I think Oregon's
Well,
win over
Cincinnati's currently thumping Temple, so they're about to be 6-1.
Oregon's win over Ohio State is still better than Cincinnati's win over Notre Dame, in my opinion, because I think Ohio State's not gonna lose the rest of the year. That's just what I feel.
I would agree. I would agree with that statement. However,
Right.
if Cincinnati's undefeated, doesn't matter.
Mm.
Doesn't matter that Oregon has 1 loss to Stanford. An undefeated Cincinnati team, because they're 5th right now, and because that SMU's making a little push. So SMU's ranked 24th. So there's a little bit of chance to maybe have something late happen that looks good. But they're going to, if they get in, if people lose and they stay undefeated, they're going to be in. Period. Oregon will not get in above them.
I feel like Cincinnati's going to have to win some games convincingly the rest of the season because they don't play anybody, and they're going to constantly get because Oklahoma's right behind them, right? At number 6,
Right.
Oklahoma beats Texas this week. Oklahoma's going to jump Cincinnati. There's no doubt in my mind. Cincinnati's going to be 6, and Oklahoma will be 5. But
I see. I don't think that's going to happen. I
If
think
Ok-
Texas will just fall out of the rankings, and Oklahoma might move up.
if Oklahoma comes out and wins that game, I don't know, 31-14 or something like that, they're going to move Oklahoma up because they want to give Oklahoma the benefit of the doubt. They aren't going to do it for Cincinnati, not so much. They're up number 5 because they started at number what, 9 or 10? Cincinnati,
Something like that.
yeah. So they're there, but if Ohio State comes out and beats a Michigan team that's unbeaten or a Michigan State team that's unbeaten, they're going to move up. They're going to jump Cincinnati. There's no doubt. Those
I mean,
teams have,
there is doubt. I'm casting doubt. I
Oh,
don't
well.
believe. I don't believe it. I mean, Texas is on the fringe of being a 4-2 team, right? So Oklahoma comes out, they beat them.
Yeah.
Let's assume they beat them by 60. You
Okay.
might be right. If it's 60-0, if they put a Arkansas Georgia style thumping down,
Yep.
you might be right. But if they do anything less than that, if it's 24-21, 27, 17, no, they're not jumping anybody because Texas will be an unranked team, and yeah, they'll be undefeated. But also, Cincinnati just came out and handled business. It's 52-3 right now over Temple, so they're handling their job.
Right.
You're not going to be able to convince
I-
me that they're going to jump them unless they beat a team in an astounding way. Like if they beat Texas by 40 points, maybe.
Okay.
If it's anything less than that, I'm a little hesitant.
What I'm saying is, Ohio State has a loss already to Oregon, right?
I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Ohio State's going to play number 4 Penn State, number 11 Michigan State, and number 9 Michigan. If those teams remain ranked the way they are, stay unbeaten, or they win their games to that point, and one of them's going to lose to each other. I mean, I know that, but they're going to remain in the top 15. Those 3 teams. That schedule will put Ohio State ahead of Cincinnati. I don't think you can argue that. You can say, "Yep, Cincinnati won this game against Notre Dame," but what?
No,
Ohio
I was talking about Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
No.
My point.
No, I don't care about Ohio State. Yes, they will probably jump them. They have enough hype and hype train behind them.
Right.
Exactly what you're saying. Correct. Dunzo. Oklahoma was who I was saying will not jump them unless they beat Texas in an extremely convincing manner because the back part of their schedule isn't exactly super loaded with quality teams until they get to OK State, who's currently ranked 12th, but OK State hasn't exactly been a powerhouse the last few years. So they're liable to lose a game or two and all along the way before that last game of the season. So I was talking specifically about Oklahoma, not about Ohio State. I agree with you. Ohio State could jump them,
I was
but
talking
not Oklahoma.
I was talking specifically about Cincinnati and not anything else. What I'm saying is there are teams that will jump them. They are not set to get into
Gotcha.
playoff. They can't just win the rest of their games
I
and
get
get
what
into
you're
playoff.
saying now. I get what
Yeah,
you're saying now.
somebody's gonna.
I thought that when you started talking
Yeah.
Cincinnati, I agreed that they're in a good position, blah 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 blah. But then you started talking about what Oklahoma can do to jump them, and I was just
Oh,
on the
they're
Oklahoma
just
train. I was
they're
not on the Ohio State train
they're
yet.
just an example because they're right behind them. They're the number 6. They're
Oregon could
one
jump
back.
them
Oregon,
if
yeah.
they win things
Yep.
convincingly enough.
Yep.
Michigan could jump them if
Yep.
they win things
Oh, if
convincingly
Michigan
enough.
beats Ohio
BYU
State,
has no chance.
if Michigan goes
So,
unbeaten and beats Ohio State, you're not going to keep them out of the college football playoff. Not a chance.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
just no
So,
way.
like, but yeah, specifically, I was talking about Oklahoma, and
Right.
they
Oh,
have no
maybe.
chance unless they win this one game against Texas
Yeah.
by a ton. And
That-
so far, they haven't proven to be that team.
And that game is in the Cotton Bowl, 9 a.m. on ABC on Saturday.
Ugh,
So
9 a.m. football.
I know, right? Number 2, Georgia plays at number 18 Auburn, 12:30 on CBS, and your game of the day, which is going to be number 4 Penn State at number 3 Iowa, 1 p.m. on Fox. Going to be that's a gigantic game, in as far as the Big Ten goes. So
Yeah.
I never want to give Iowa credit for being any good because they always win like 10-7 and 13-10 and those close little games, and it just drives me nuts that they just keep winning those games and then they lose one. They always lose one and they fall out every year. And maybe this is the one that they're going to lose, but that Western, well, they're not the West. What are they? Is it called the West anymore? The Big Ten? I don't think it's a West and an East. Did they change it? I don't remember. The Big Ten.
Can't remember.
That side.
Yeah, it's a West and an East. It's a West and an East.
That side is ridiculously bad compared to the other side. There's Iowa right now, and we used to have Wisconsin, but now there's nobody. There's nobody on
There's
that
also
side.
Iowa State. They're ranked.
Iowa State's in the Big 12. So
Oh,
yeah, they're not in the same.
that was a cross divisional game. I
Yeah.
thought they were the same division.
No, they play every
Then
year.
yeah, sure, it's blank, but they have to play Penn State, and they still
Yeah.
have to play. I
There's
mean,
some big
Illinois is not. There's some teams on here that aren't bad teams, just not
Right.
ranked teams. But we have long agreed that the rankings don't mean jack
It's
squat
true.
because they're overinflated for crazy. I mean, Penn State could lose 4 games from here out.
But
And does that still make the East look that good? Ohio State drops 2 more games, and Penn State drops a couple games. Now you're looking at only one ranked team in the East. Are they still that good?
well,
Right now, you don't know.
that's the same thing the Pac-12's been screaming for years. The Pac-12 has good enough teams, and they beat up on each other, and you lose games. You lose 2 Pac-12 games, and nobody thinks you're any good. This is the same thing that happens in the Big Ten East, because you got Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. They're all ranked in the top 15. They're all in the top 11, and they can't all win. So somebody's going to lose 1 or 2. One of those teams has to go, at best 1 and 2, and so you're going to lose some games, but you're losing to quality teams, and that's what happens. You just get beat up when you play that many teams in a row. But anyway, we'll see what happens in the long season. We still got.
By the way, Iowa this year has won their games by 34-6, 27-17, 30-7, 24-14, and 51-14. They have not scored less than 24 points this season.
That's a potent Iowa offense this year.
Iowa?
For Iowa, yeah. I mean, that's ridiculously good.
I mean, they just scored 51 against Maryland last week. I mean, my goodness. Settle
Yeah,
down.
I mean, it's Maryland too.
Hawkeye fans haven't seen a barn burning like this in a while.
They don't normally score this many points. Is what I'm trying to say.
I would say that Hawkeye fans have probably seen more barn burnings than anybody else.
Well, the Iowa indoor football, the arena football team, they used to be the Barnstormers. Yeah, so there's a
That's
lot of
right.
barns happening.
Big barn folk out there. Okay,
Big barn
quick side note to that. When we were driving, when I was working for PSU, and we were driving to go play Idaho. We were driving up the hill to their stadium, which is a big like indoor like I don't know hangar for like planes and things like that that's been converted. And on the way up the hill, there's this old barn off to the right, freshly painted red and everything. And the guy who's driving our truck, this older guy named Rick, goes, "Oh, I gotta take a picture of that barn." Stops the truck, gets out and runs over there and snaps a couple quick pics of this barn on the hill. And he comes back. I'm like, "What's that all about?" He's like, "We just like barns. We're big barn people." I'm like, "That's ridiculous." I can imagine Iowa fans can relate.
But that's the kind of good story though that you get only when you're traveling in a truck across the wilderness.
Big barn people.
We're big barn people. Gosh, that's ridiculous. So Mariners fans, I apologize. Your team finished the game short. It was a great season. The Mariners, I mean, who thought they would win 90 games? I would have given you 75 at most at the beginning of the season. 90 was amazing, and to finish just 1 game out of the playoff spots, that's incredible. But you're done. So
Okay.
got to do better luck next year. Quickly, I want to look in on, um, the
Games in
the
progress.
postseason because, um, so what happened was the Dodgers and the Cardinals played in a wild card game, 1 game playoff, and that was a fantastic game. Dodgers win 3-1 on a walk off 2-run homer in the bottom of the ninth by Chris Taylor. You couldn't have asked for more drama. Um, the American League game was not as good. The Red Sox beat the Yankees 6-2 and took over. They were up 3-0, and it was never really a game. But that
I don't
leads
you mean
us.
by not as good. The Yankees lost. That's a big day for everyone.
Well, I mean, if you're if you're any other team, then yes, you were excited about the fact that the Yankees won. But the game wasn't as good. It wasn't as much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Which brings us to that doesn't bring us to that. What it brings us to is this. So if you go to MLB.com, you can catch all the stats and the scores and updates and latest news, and there's videos and all that kind of stuff. But if you're looking right now, the American League Divisional Series started yesterday. Astros beat the White Sox in Game 1. They won again today, 9-4, so they're up 2-0. Houston's already almost clinched that
We
series.
hate Houston around here.
The Rays won Game 1 against the Red Sox yesterday. They're losing 11-6 in the eighth inning today, so that one looks like it's going to be split 1-1 heading back to Boston. Your NLDS started today. Braves lost to the Brewers to give up a 2-run homer in the seventh, and that kind of stood up, and it was 2-1 Brewers to take Game 1. And then the Dodgers and Giants have just started. They're in the bottom of the second, but the Giants are up 2-0 already on the Dodgers. That will probably be the series to watch, is the Giants Dodgers, because those two teams 107 and 106 wins respectively, the top two teams in Major League Baseball this year, and they've got to battle it out in a divisional series. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Another thing to watch though is that Boston game right now.
Yeah.
Boston has 16 hits
yeah,
through 8 innings. They have 16 hits. I mean, yeah, they've got 11 runs, but 16 hits is a lot of hits.
that's yeah. It's in two an inning. If you're getting 2 hits an inning, you're going to win a lot of baseball games. I mean, that's just what I know, because I know there were a couple innings where you didn't get any. So, that's amazing. The Red Sox are good. Their offense is solid. It's a matter of they don't perform consistently sometimes, and the Rays are one of those more consistent baseball teams. If you'd have told the Rays they were going to score six runs tonight, they'd have taken that. Probably said, yeah, we're going to win. We're going to be up 2-0. But then he gave up 11. But hey, it is what it is. So, we'll keep you updated. We'll talk about this next week, and we'll update you, because by then the Stros will have swept the White Sox, and we'll have more to talk about. But baseball is getting exciting. If you watched, I'm telling you, the Dodgers Cardinals game was a 1-1 game for I don't know how many innings. I want to say 5 innings. The Cardinals scored on a wild pitch in the first, and then Justin Turner hit a home run in the bottom of the third for the Dodgers. And then it was 1-1, and nothing happened except everybody had a chance to score, but nobody scored. And then the bottom of the ninth with a home run to walk off. And walk-off homer, you couldn't ask for anything more exciting if you're a baseball fan, other than that 5 innings where really nothing happened. Anyway, that's what I like about baseball is the excitement. It's like you said last time, it's sudden excitement. Boom, here it is. All of a sudden it gets exciting. But anyway, so that being said, let's talk about soccer, because the Timbers are the hottest team in Major League Soccer. I mean, it is unbelievable. They won twice this past week. They beat LAFC 2-1 in LA last Wednesday, and they scored a 1-0 win over Inter Miami on Sunday at Providence Park. Portland has 46 points, which is good for 4th in the Western Conference and 6th best in the entire league. The Timbers are 7-0-1 in their last 8, and they've outscored their opponents 18-5 in those 8 games. They are just on
Getting
fire.
hot when it matters.
And that's right. That's all that matters sometimes, is that you do what you do at the right time. And just for anybody who wants to look, this is a quick look at the Western Conference standings right there. There's still Seattle on top, but Portland was way back 8 games ago and just flew up that chart and has now kind of distanced themselves from number 5, Salt Lake, and put themselves in a good position to make the playoffs. There's still a few games left. Like I said, they play into November. I think the first weekend in November is the last game. So there's still like 4 or 5 games left, but Portland's doing it. So if you're watching the Timbers, I mean,
trying.
Yeah, go watch the Timbers. FS1 has MLS soccer. Most of it's on ESPN Plus. You can catch most of those games. But this standings right here brought to you by MLS.com. All right, so we have reached. Well, we're past halfway, but we're going to call it the halfway point, because that's what we do here.
The people who are listening don't care. They just want us to keep talking.
Right. So this is the right. So this is the second half of the show brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday and 11 a.m. every other Sunday. Knit-alongs, exclusive sales, games, fun, new fiber. You can make new fiber friends. It actually is kind of fun. If you haven't ever watched one of the shows, it's they have a good time on there. So go on to BossKittyShop.com and get your DK and fingering weight yarns as well as stitch and progress markers. If you're looking for a gift, get them a Boss Kitty Shop virtual gift card and let them pick it out themselves. That's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarns so boss, you'll knit your pants.
Mm.
So I know, right? So what we're going to talk about the second half?
NFL.
You like you some football. So here's my first question to you to start NFL. Was the return of Tom Brady overblown? Did they overhype this?
Yes. Are you kidding me? There are these guys in every sport, and specifically there's two of them in college or in NFL and NBA, and these are LeBron and Tom Brady. And it doesn't matter what these guys do; they are so deep into their careers, been in the game for so long, and had success enough that anything they do is a story. Now, being fair, Tom Brady leaving New England to go to Tampa, having his first game back, it's kind of interesting. More specifically because I'm wondering, what are the New England fans going to do?
Right.
That's the first thought. So when LeBron left Cleveland and went to Miami, first game back, what are the Cleveland fans going to do? Well, they did the same thing in both places. They booed the crap out of them because they're tired of their garbage. Yeah. Or in Boston, they're tired of their garbage. So they don't want it anymore. So, yeah, but Tom Brady did what Tom Brady does and snuck a game out. So
on a side note, is the Your Cousin from Boston commercials from Sam Adams, are they not the best commercials?
They're pretty good, but the Smart Pack one is my favorite. This is my favorite Boston-related commercial.
Who else? It was Chris Evans,
Amy Poehler, Chris Evans, Big Poppy.
Yeah,
and
Smart Pack.
There's somebody else in there.
Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah,
you're right. That
right.
was a good one commercial. But the series of the other ones, I just love watching those things. Anyway. All right, so Tampa Bay beat New England 1917 on Sunday night, and it was a downpour. It was a rain-soaked thing. I think that had a lot to do with the score.
I was working out while it was on, so the TV was a little bit away from me. I could see the plays and stuff. I didn't realize it was raining. As soon as I stopped working out, I walked closer to the TV. I saw it was pouring. I'm like, oh my goodness!
It was pouring all night,
like
the whole night. It was raining. New England's Nick Folk had a chance to give New England the lead with under a minute, but his 56-yard field goal attempt hit the left upright and was no good. Brady became the NFL's
league conspiracy.
It must have been, right? They moved the goalpost while it was swaying. Brady became the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards, passing Drew Brees, and he became only the fourth player in NFL history to have victories over all 32 teams. Can you name?
That's pretty cool. I'll give him that.
Can you name the other three?
Peyton Manning.
Yep.
They showed them. They showed them on the screen. They showed all their faces.
This is
oh my gosh!
This is why I asked you, because it was on there, and I want to make sure.
Oh, okay. I don't know the other two. I know Peyton. But...
Yep. So you know it was a guy who was good and played a long time, and he was traded or changed teams. So Drew Brees.
Yeah. That's how. Yeah, you had pretty much had a 16-year career somewhere, then you finished up somewhere else.
Drew Brees. And Brett
that's right, because he played for the Chargers to start the season.
Right, and Brett Favre. Who played for everyone.
Minnesota.
Yep. He played the Jets.
Well, and the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, he played for everyone. Yeah. So
did he ever play for a team that was not in the NFC North?
Well, the Jets. That's
AFC, well, that's true. Or let me rephrase that. Did he ever play for a team that was not in a cold weather state?
No, Atlanta. He started his career in Atlanta. He actually got drafted.
He went to Atlanta.
I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think in my head I'm going like, does he just like the cold? I mean, I know he's a big Wrangler guy or whatever, but like
Wrangler jeans guy.
Big fan of jeans. So
and
I'm gonna
copper
stick
fit
up
sleeves.
Here in Minnesota,
right? He and Jerry Rice on the copper fit team. Anyway, whatever. Monday Night Football, the Raiders going into SoFi Stadium take on the Chargers in that a gigantic early season divisional matchup, if there is such a thing. This one, by the way, was all Chargers in the first half. They sprang out to a 21-0 lead behind 3 touchdown passes from Justin Herbert. The Charger defense was dominant early, allowing 0 yards to the Raiders in the first quarter. 0.
That was incredible.
It was amazing. And then Derek Carr got him going early in the second half. A pair of touchdown passes in the third quarter. He cut it 21-14, but then an Austin Eckler 11-yard touchdown run with 5:20 left made it 28-14. And then to seal it, it was Derwin James with an interception at Carr with 3.5 minutes left. How much fun is this division?
It's not, because my
Because you,
Broncos are going to end up on the bottom of it here soon.
but the teams are good, and the games are good, and I think it's going to be a fantastic thing to watch just the rest of the season. I think all of those teams are capable of winning. And honestly, and I'm not just saying this because but I think Denver's the worst of those four teams. But
That's fair.
I don't think they're bad by any stretch. I think that's a team that this the worst team in this division could win 8 games this year.
Yeah, yeah. You could be looking at a real tough end of the year where the Chargers have 13 wins and the Chiefs have 12 wins and the Raiders have 9, 10 wins, something like that.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be very, very interesting, and Denver will all determine on when does Teddy Bridgewater come back.
it's true.
If Teddy Bridgewater comes back, I think they're competent. I think they can handle stuff, and their defense is playing well enough for their offense to get going soon, which forces their defense to adjust, or forces their offense to adjust. But if Drew Lock's the guy, I would expect Denver to win 5 games. But then the rest of the division will still be fun to watch because that Chargers Raiders game, if that's a preview of the next game in Vegas, that's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, they all look really good.
I mean, you're looking at the Raiders Chiefs games and the Chargers Chiefs games, and those are all going to be good football games. I think that
Yeah,
you
it
know,
looks great.
yeah, it looks like it's going to be so much fun. And even Denver, if Denver comes to play, they can beat one of these teams, and they could be right there too. I mean, not saying they're going to, but they could. Um,
Well,
because like you were
it's
noticed,
worth noting that Denver has been terrible for a long time, and we still split with the Raiders every year.
and
So
like you were noting earlier, is that Denver had only given up 49 points this year in 4 football games, which
yeah,
is
second best defense in the league
pretty good. I mean,
in,
yeah,
in terms of points allowed.
right. Um, I made. We'll talk about it in a minute. I got a funny for you in just in just a second. Other scores of note from the NFL this week: the Colts over the Dolphins, 27-17, got their first win. The Giants 27-21 over the Saints got their first win, and the Jets 27-24 over the Titans in overtime. So the rule of thumb is just score 27 and you'll get your first win.
27 and you're good.
Yeah, 27 points was all you needed. The Cardinals are 4-0 after thrashing the Rams 37-20.
Right.
And how good does Kyler Murray look? He almost looks like I know he's fast and he's quick and he's special and I get it. He just looks like you can't stop him, really.
I said it off the air when I was talking to you. They have done a very good job of letting him continue to be a college quarterback. Most of the time when the players get to the NFL, the coaches say, well, we don't do that anymore. We don't scramble that way. We don't run those types of plays. Here's what we do. And then they try and change them, sometimes a little too much. They are letting Kyler Murray be Kyler Murray and do the things that he's good at. And they're surrounding him with talent on both sides of the ball. So, I mean, A.J. Green, everyone's forgetting A.J. Green is on that team.
Yeah.
A.J. Green's a fantastic receiver who got stuck in Cincinnati for a long time. I mean, he took a payday and that's why he got stuck there.
Sure.
But point is, he was there for a long time while that team was going nowhere fast, and now he's sitting opposite Hopkins, and you're looking at that team going, holy crap, they got some receivers and their defense is stacked. So
yeah,
they're letting that team fly, and it's looking really good.
31 points is the lowest they've scored this year. So they've 38, 34, 31, and 37 in 4 games. That's anytime you're averaging over 30 points a game, you're going to win a lot of NFL football games. Because as we see, 27 is all you needed to get your first win.
Right.
I also over the weekend, Seattle 28-21 over San Francisco. Jimmy G, surprisingly, hurt his calf, left at halftime. San Francisco also played without their place kicker, Robbie Gould. I'm not that was a big factor, but it was kind of weird that your place kicker is out. He was there, but he pulled a groin or something. I mean, I guess that happens when you use your leg a lot. Ravens beat the Broncos 23-7 in Denver, handing Denver their first. Teddy Bridgewater left the game with a concussion late in the first half, but it was the Broncos' first loss of the season. But that's also a product of Lamar Jackson is pretty good as well. The Baltimore, to a lesser extent, lets Lamar Jackson do what Lamar Jackson does well. A little less than Kyler Murray, but still,
Yeah.
he's athletic enough to do some crazy things. It's hard to stop. So then what we didn't cover was, and I hadn't prepared it yet because we were going to do this on Wednesday, is that the Rams um, and the Seahawks played Thursday night in Seattle, and
Right.
what a mess. That game was interesting. Rams win 26-17 in Seattle. Um, Russell Wilson hurts his finger, his middle finger, on a pass play. Gets it. I don't know what happened to it. It was a ligament. What is it? Tendon.
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 He tore a tendon in his middle finger on his
Yeah.
throwing hand, his right hand. And man, I watched it live, and he throws this deep pass down the right side to Lockett. It's a little overthrown, and they
Yeah.
show him, and he's like tapping his thumb to his into his middle finger, but every time he taps it to it, the tip of the finger. So you have like your base knuckle,
Yeah.
your middle knuckle, and then the one right near the top. The tip of the finger from that knuckle down just keeps dropping down like it's limp. And he's like tapping it and like trying to like bend it back into place, and it's just going limp every time. And it was such a weird thing to see.
Aren't you married to a doctor? You don't know the term for that?
It's so funny because I was like, Cassie, did you see what happened to Russell Wilson's finger? And she goes, I don't want to see. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't want to see? I need your expert opinion.
Right.
And so then I show it to her. She goes, she looks like he tore a tendon or something like that. And then 2 hours later, the story comes out like, oh, torn tendon will require surgery. And I'm like,
yeah.
Cassie diagnosed it from, miles away on a little screen.
Yeah, you don't even need telemedicine at its finest.
Watch out, Adam Schefter. We have Cassie's Twitter.
Yeah. But he wasn't the only one to get hurt. Stafford hurt his finger
on
his throwing hand as well. Yeah, and he had it taped up pretty heavily too. But once and Geno Smith, let's give Geno Smith some love when he came in for the Seahawks. Oh, come on, he looked pretty darn good, I thought, for a guy who hadn't played.
He did not. All right, so think about that touchdown pass that he threw, right?
Okay.
Right, 30-yard touchdown bomb down the side to whomever, DK,
Metcalf,
I think is who it was.
DK Metcalf.
Which is funny because I was watching the game at work, and one of the guys who was there, I told him, I was like, no, they haven't mentioned, they showed DK sitting on the bench, and I said, oh, they just showed DK. He's about to do something here soon. And then like 3 or 4 plays later, he catches a touchdown pass. And I'm like, told you it was coming. But that cornerback who's defending DK, who was 7 yards off of him, trying to make a pick from the 4-yard line while DK's in the back of the end zone damn near, didn't understand it. And then beyond that, number 96 for the Rams, I don't know what his name is, but he was hard charging through the middle, and he got absolutely held. And I don't mean kind of held, like whipped around held. He was about to blow up Geno. He got whipped around, and then Geno lets it fly within, a fraction of a second of that happening.
Yeah.
And this whole, I say this all the time. I want the Seahawks to stop winning with question marks. The Seahawks scored on 2 drives last night. Yeah. Both of those drives featured penalties that got them spaced down the field. That's how the Seahawks offense has run for the last few years, where it looks okay sometimes, but don't worry, there's going to be a personal foul in there. But don't worry, there's going to be a pass interference in there that's going to put them most of the way down the field, and they'll be good from there.
To be fair,
I'm tired of them winning with questions.
To be fair, they didn't win, so there's that.
Winning a drive, winning a series is what I mean. Like,
but that was
the only way that they're competitive is if there's something happening in their favor, and not just they're making it happen. Back in the day when Marshawn Lynch would plow through a line and run 50 yards, there was nothing else going on. There was no referee factor there. It was just making it happen. That 2012 Seahawks team just made it happen. Since then, though, they've needed help every game, and they get it almost every game.
Well, that first drive of the second half for them, 10 plays, 98 yards. There was only one penalty, and that was just there was a pass interference PI by Ramsey.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
the one that gave him like 40 yards.
Yeah, I mean, well,
they took it from being on your side of the field to their side of the field.
Yeah, well, it was only one penalty, but still.
And then on that other drive, what's it called? They had Russell Wilson got roughing the passer on Aaron Donald, but it was the softest thing I've ever seen. He barely touched him. It's getting ridiculous. I'm with Joey Bosa in that the referees are just stupid and they're blind and they're terrible at their job. Did you hear him come out and say all that after the Raiders game? Yeah, he's been fined, I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. Sure. But he's not wrong. The referees in the NFL are there for a paycheck, and they're acting like it. They're playing like it.
Well, this also featured a double punt. It was the first time I'd ever seen that.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness, what was that?
and yeah, so I mean, I have never seen anything like that, and I'm not sure we will again. But
Oh, we will now because everyone thought it was illegal.
I said see, and that's what happened when it happened. I said I don't think that's illegal. I think you can do it as long as it stays behind the line of scrimmage. But I think
I
that's a
didn't
new
think you
thing.
could do it. I thought the moment you put the foot on the ball, you couldn't put the foot on the ball again.
Well, I think because they touched it, it was blocked, and I think that's what
I,
happened. So
I thought that didn't matter. Once you kick the ball, it is no longer your responsibility. It's no longer your ball. You've essentially turned it over,
well,
right? You've submitted the turnover of the ball because the ball goes downfield and you touch it on the other end. It's just a touchback, or it's just a down wherever you touch it at. The
right.
fact that it's blocked is kind of irrelevant.
Well, if the other
You kick the ball. I don't think you get a second kick.
but if the other team is trying to receive the ball on a punt and they muff it, they touch it one time, you can get the ball back.
Well,
So
right. If it
you don't.
touches the other, if it touches the other team first past the line of scrimmage, so I
Well,
guess there's your
yeah,
thing.
but I don't know if that's the rule or not. But I don't know this rule. What I was just basing it on was I'm like, okay, he hit it, and it's still behind the line of scrimmage. Had it gone forward, I think then he would have not been able to do that. But since it stayed behind the line of scrimmage, he could pick it up and do whatever he wanted to it, throw it, punt it, whatever. I think that's the
Well,
rule, but I don't know for sure.
Mike Pereira said during the broadcast, he said that the ball could only be advanced after it was blocked. You can't kick it again. And so I went and I looked at the rules.
Right.
I looked at the rule book.
Okay.
It mentions nothing about a second kick. That's the best way to interpret this. There's no rule against it.
Right.
But this offseason we'll get some clarification.
Oh, there'll be a new rule. Yeah. Yeah, but
because I've always thought you couldn't kick it twice.
It was a 68-yard punt, by the way. The second
a
one,
bomb.
the first one was
goodness.
blocked, and the second one was 68 yards down to the LA 11. What
Note
a
to
punt!
self: put the fear of God in Michael Dixon because he'll
Right?
send it.
Just crushed that ball. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I couldn't even run it that far.
But the bigger complaint was that he kicked it beyond the line of scrimmage.
Well, and then I hear them
and
talking
that's
about
a
it.
penalty.
I hear them talking about it, and what Mike Pereira said on the broadcast was, what the referee said. The referee said his back foot was still on the original line of scrimmage, and that's why it was okay.
Replay. The referee was lying.
Well, I don't
The
know.
referee's not telling. The referee is either blind, as Bosa would say, or he's not telling the truth. Or it was such a confusing situation that even he didn't know how to deal with it.
I'm betting that's it. I will put money that's it.
And then you made a ruling, and we're sticking by it.
That's my story.
Whatever
and I'm
this
sticking
is.
to it. Yeah, I know.
But it's clear he kicked it beyond the line of scrimmage. So
No.
my thing is, so if that happens, what's that penalty like?
I don't know, and none of which matters because it didn't help Seattle really at all.
No.
So,
And Sean McVay was pissed, and I get it.
yeah,
There's no rule in the book to cover this situation.
I
There
think
will be
it's-
soon, but there wasn't.
Yeah, I think it's something that's going to need some clarification in the offseason. You're right, but it was just crazy enough to be one of those plays where you go, "What just happened?" And nobody really
I read
knows.
through it all, and it doesn't cover it. So
it was
it talks about when you can kick it, where you can kick it, how you can kick it, all these different things, but it never mentions, okay, what if it's blocked and then you get it and try and kick it again?
Right.
Like it does not talk about it.
It's
So
weird.
at best it's a gray area that he lived in. But he was beyond line of scrimmage. That's not a gray area, that's a penalty.
That he lived
So.
in. Yeah. Matthew Stafford threw for and why is this here? Matthew Stafford threw for 365 yards in that game with a hurt finger.
He had a hell of a game.
Yeah, Robert Woods
and he came out after he got hurt and threw it better.
Yeah, Robert Woods had 12 catches for 150 yards. Didn't score a touchdown, but he was a factor all game.
Yeah.
They still looked good.
fantastic.
Yeah, they looked like they rebounded well from the Arizona thing. But week
And the
5,
Seahawks still look like they're searching for answers on defense.
I don't think they're right. There's something else missing, and if you're going to have Geno Smith play your quarterback for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and they're I mean, maybe you need a trade.
Jets fans everywhere are nudging each other, going, "Watch, you guys are about to see."
We've been through this. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So week 5 in the NFL, week schedule's up right here. Week 5 scheduled here, thanks to ESPN. So this is Green Bay, Cincinnati, 2-3-1 teams. That's an early game on Fox. The real early game is New York, Atlanta. If you want to get up and watch that from London, which I'm not, by the way. No,
Nah,
I mean, I'm not
not
getting up
worth
for
it.
2, 1, and 3 teams to go watch that. Uh, I
Definitely,
mean,
definitely. But they're playing at the Hotspur Stadium, so that's kind of cool.
I guess I it
If you're
just
into that kind of thing.
it's still two teams that I don't want to see play football, and especially don't want to
Well,
watch them at
I
6:30.
got Cordero on my fantasy team, so I need him to have a big day. So maybe I'll
Nice,
watch it.
nice. Your Denver Broncos play at Pittsburgh. My Miami Dolphins play at Tampa. So
Whoop,
you have a chance to win, but we don't. Um, and
whoop. That's true.
and,
It's
and
unfortunate.
the other game that I'm the two games that I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure these are the only games that are worth watching, other than the Green Bay Cincinnati game, which I'm looking forward to. Cleveland at the Chargers is going to be a good game.
Yes.
That's another
Yep.
good defense. That's Cleveland's got.
Baker has a torn labrum,
Yeah,
is what they're saying,
but he
and he's
played
been
with it.
playing on it.
Yeah, we'll see if that
Whew.
bothers him. And
Well,
then
that means the backup must not be, Nick Foles caliber.
I don't even know who the backup is in Cleveland. I got to be honest. Um, and then
It's not bad.
the Buffalo Kansas City Sunday night game should be a good one in Arrowhead. If Kansas City's defense hasn't been very good, but their offense is good, and I know Buffalo's defense is good, so that's going to be a good matchup.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. But if Kansas City can't
If
really afford to lose another game. I mean,
they really can't. They're gonna fall too far back in the standings if they do.
if they lose that, they'll be 2-3, and that's
Yeesh.
I mean, you're starting to lose touch. You got to stay within a couple games. I mean, there'll only be 2 games back, but you got to be within a couple games. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's touchy. Yeah, and
I
then
think if there's a game I'm looking forward to that is not one of those ones you just said,
Yeah.
it's Philadelphia Carolina. I'm curious to know if Carolina is going to keep their train rolling. I know they didn't have the best week against the Cowboys, but I'm curious to know if they are that good, and I'm also curious to know if the Eagles are going to take any steps forward.
I don't know about the Eagles. I don't think Jalen Hurts is your quarterback. I don't think
Yeah.
he's good enough to be that guy. And the team around him is not great. Let's be honest. But I just don't. I never thought he was that good a quarterback. And I say this a lot about Alabama quarterbacks, and I'm gonna say it again now. They look great in college, do they not? Fantastic.
They
And
really do,
they
don't
get
they?
to the NFL, and the last successful Alabama quarterback you can name is Joe Namath. And wow, really? Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, that's what I think. But I don't do this for a living, so
Nobody pays me to do this.
nobody pays me. I give out my opinion for free. Let's go to talk about the NBA. It's coming up fast.
Woo!
I know.
Super excited about
It's
that.
coming up fast. The Blazers are going to be in action. Their first regular season game is on the 20th. Tuesday the 20th, they play Sacramento. That's where they open the
Yeah.
season. There, Portland's had some roster movement, quite a bit this year, actually.
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
I mean, gone are Carmelo Anthony, went to the Lakers. Zach Collins.
Yeah, he went to go play with his buddy, his
Yeah.
banana boat buddy, LeBron.
Zach Collins is at San Antonio. Not that that's a big deal. We haven't seen him in 10 years. So
I am so nervous to see Zach Collins become a big
Good.
producer
become good
for that team and just go, damn it.
And every time you play San Antonio, you just get beat by him. Harry Giles went to the Clippers. Not that it's a big deal. Derek Jones Jr. is now in Chicago. Enes Kanter is back in Boston after coming back to Portland from Boston. I'm confused.
He went from Portland to Boston to Portland to Boston.
Yeah, it's weird. Rondé, Hollis Jefferson, TJ Leaf, those are all gone. All those players are gone. In are Larry Nance Jr. from Cleveland, part of that gigantic 3-team, I don't know, is there 4 teams? I can't remember how many teams are involved in a sign and trade and whatnot deal. Larry Nance Jr.
Could be a big deal.
Could be a big deal. He is a lanky, versatile player that is the
Yeah.
kind of player you're if his defense is what you think his defense can be, he can be that kind of player that Portland needs to shut down some of those
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 guys.
Yeah.
Patrick Patterson is in camp from the Clippers.
Yep.
Dennis Smith Jr. came from Detroit. Tony Snell from Atlanta. Cody Zeller from Charlotte. Not that that's a big deal. Trendon
Some
Watford.
good pieces.
Yeah, but Trendon Watford from LSU and Greg Brown from Texas. Those are the 2 rookies that are on the roster. Damian Lillard expects the Blazers will be better this year than last. Do you share that sentiment?
No. No, I don't. I feel like there's a couple underrated pieces here. I feel like Ben McLemore and Patrick Patterson are going to be more instrumental than they seem. I feel like the Dennis Smith Jr. pickup was pretty big deal. I don't think Cody Zeller is going to be much of a factor. I mean, he's already day to day. He's already injured once in this whole preseason. I don't think Larry Nance Jr. is going to be that big of a factor. I think Nasir Little's expanded role will be a bigger deal than having Larry Nance Jr. there. I'm concerned that with our current depth chart, we're still running a 3-guard system.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. That is not the direction of our league. It's just not. And we don't shoot well enough as a team. And being fair, we've got some fantastic shooters. So that's saying something. That we still don't shoot well enough to move to a 3-guard system and expect to feel good about that all the time.
Right.
So I don't know if that's going to persist into the regular season, but that's the way he's been playing the preseason. Chauncey's that's the team he's decided to go with is Dame, CJ, Norm, Rocco, and Yusuf. I just am not there on it.
And
not sold.
Yeah, and don't everybody remember that Chauncey Billups is going to be in his first season as a head coach. Not that means anything. Some people have been very successful at it. It's just not traditionally a thing that guy jumps in and turns a team around or takes a team that's already good to great. That's hard to do. But so last year they were the 5th leading scoring team, 116.1 points a game, 23rd in defense. They gave up 114.3. So their scoring differential is like 1.8 points a game. But they gave up a lot of points. Did they do enough this offseason to address all that defensive need to play better defense? I mean, a higher score, if they can reduce the points given up by just 2 or 3 points a game, you're going to win 5 or 6 more games, and all of a sudden you look like a 50-win team, right?
I think they did. I don't know if it's enough. The problem is you brought in a lot of guys who are question marks. You didn't bring in any known commodities. You brought in guys who were commodities or have potential, and they have potential. Like, I know Larry Nance Jr. has potential. I feel like that was not a terrible pickup.
Right.
However, if you're asking me, am I going to put money that he's going to be an all-star this year? No. I would actually bet the other way.
No.
Right? I'm not putting money on Tony Snell or Ben McLemore or Dennis Smith or Patrick Patterson or Cody Zeller. None of these guys are those guys. I wanted to get a big piece in the offseason. And we didn't do that. We got a bunch of okay pieces. Now, that might change the entire dynamic of the game. Maybe those okay pieces stay more okay throughout the season and allow us a little more consistency from week to week. But, I mean, Yusuf Nurkic is still not the guy to me. He's still not the center, and he's liable to get hurt any minute now.
Right.
So I just don't know where it's all going to
go. He's due to get hurt again, yeah.
Right. I mean, he's at home doing chores. He's liable to get hurt.
So this team was dead last in the NBA in assists per game last year. I think that's a factor of kind of how they play. Dame and CJ both are not point guards. I get it. You want to play one of them as they're shooting guards. They're both shooting guards, and
they're the size of point guards, of modern point guards, but they're shooting guards.
They're adequate point guards. They're not great point guards. You need a guy that's a distributor. You need a guy that can create the drive and dish that isn't going to take away from your offense. Because if Damian Lillard has got to drive and dish out to somebody, you're taking away from your offense. He's your number 1 scorer. And C.J. McCollum's number 2. So if he's doing it, he's taking away from your scoring.
And C.J. McCollum's good for 21 to 25 a game.
Yeah.
4 assists a game every game. But he's not. He's very rarely that guy who blows up for 30-something. So if Dame is having to dish the ball because, God forbid, they have a good defensive guard.
All right. But if you're going to run 3 guards, a true point guard at that other guard is what you're needing. You need a guy that's what he does. And I don't know that they have that. That's the problem. Is that Go ahead.
The guard system reminds me of last year when we played Denver in the playoffs. We ran Dame, we ran CJ, and we ran Norm. The problem was that Norm was face up against Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Who is as fast as Norm.
Right.
And also 5 inches taller.
Right.
And can jump higher. So it negates his effectiveness all the way through.
Right.
And it doesn't matter which way you switch him. If you come up to the top and you're trying to do kind of like a pick and roll or a pick and rotate type thing with your 3 guards, he's going to terrorize whoever he's on.
Right.
If you end up, and Aaron Gordon is a good to great, but not an excellent, not a superstar. He's a good to great 3. These guys are all over the league now. You're not going to be able to do this week in and week out and expect to have a ton of success, a ton of consistent success. My guess is what you're going to see is in the games that we win, you're going to see a lot of points from Dame and a lot of points from either CJ or Norm.
Right.
And then you're going to see a lot of rebounding in the power forward in the center, and then that small forward position just kind of disappear. And in the games that we lose, I think it's going to be low scoring throughout our guards because they're a team that can rotate well and defend guards.
So more useless statistics for everyone. The Blazers were 23rd in field goal percentage last year at 45.3, but number 6 in 3-point percentage at 38.5.
Heaving crap up half the year.
They were number 3 in free throw percentage, 823. That's because Dame's a 90% shooter. Number 12 in total rebounds, 44.5. It's kind of middle of the pack. Here's a statistic that I thought was interesting. 11.1 turnovers per game by the Blazers was number 1 in the NBA. They turned the ball over less than any other team in the NBA. However, they only forced 12.4 turnovers per game, which was 28th. They don't play enough defense, pressure defense, to get people to turn the ball over. Right. So they had to take care of the ball just to try and win a basketball game.
Yeah.
I mean, I that's a big disparity. I don't know that I've seen one quite that big. In that, normally a team that doesn't turn the ball over also plays good defense, and they're, you know what I mean? Portland doesn't. They don't play defense. They're just.
It's been the thing that we've been screaming about as Portland fans for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Can we play some damn defense? And I get it. We're attached to Dame.
Yeah, and that's where the money
so
is.
attached to him, and he's just eating salary.
Yeah.
And it's not a desirable location for a lot of big names. For whatever reason, I put that on Portland itself.
Yeah, kind of.
The city is not welcoming very easily the big time lifestyle. Seattle has embraced it. LA obviously is what it is. Even Las Vegas has embraced welcoming, almost this extravagant thing.
Yeah.
Portland's trying to be too small, and as a consequence, none of the big superstars want to come here because it's not fun. Portland's not a fun place to go. All the bars close at like 1.
Yeah, and it rains.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Can't wear my J's outside because it rains.
Right? It's ridiculous.
I'm gonna go to South Beach.
I'm take my talents to South Beach.
I'll take my talents to South Beach. Those bars are open until 4 a.m. and it never rains. I can wear the J's all day.
Let's talk about a couple other moves that might be important this year in the NBA. Kyle Lowry going to the Heat.
That's a pretty big one. I actually like that one.
The Heat's that's a good basketball team to begin with. Not great.
And they're well coached because I like Spoelstra.
Let's not forget they were in the finals 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, no big deal. You talking about the finals that saw LeBron beat his old team in the biggest storyline ever?
Yes. Yeah, but Kyle Lowry's a good basketball player, and going to the Heat's going to be a big deal for them. Russell Westbrook, obviously, to the Lakers.
That's huge. I think that's bigger than anybody's giving it credit.
Just adds on to what they've got. Takes away from the things that Anthony Davis has to do, who's going to get hurt at some point in time too. You know that.
It is about Friday now.
Yeah, I mean, he's as soon as Nurk gets hurt, then Anthony Davis gets like a text message. It's time. It's time.
Behind.
Yeah. Oh, right now. Okay, I got you. That brow doesn't help him stay healthy, by the way. LaMarcus Aldridge is headed to the Nets. And the Nets, that's a pretty big addition to a Nets team that I think is pretty good already.
Yeah, but it's a Nets team that doesn't have Kyrie because he's refusing to get vaccinated.
No,
so he's not allowed to practice in the state of New York. And Kevin Nash has said Steve Nash has said we're not moving the practices outside of New York for you, but sorry, get vaccinated or whatever. Problem is, they just announced today that in like a couple weeks he'll default on his contract.
Yeah, because he's not.
Which means he will not be eligible to leave. He will be essentially banned from the NBA for a year. And not under a contract.
I don't know, man. What?
So it's kind of tough.
I get it. I mean,
he'll get it with about 2 days remaining.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's the way. We'll talk about that in a minute. Hold on. The Bulls added Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, and DeMar DeRozan.
That team actually looks a little scary. Very point scoring, but looks scary.
Didn't they re-sign Lauri Markkanen too?
Lowry,
Markkanen? Whatever. Laari.
Come on, it's Swedish or something or another.
It's one of those. IKEA countries.
Yeah, they re-signed him. They still have Zach LaVine, and they got Kobe White.
I think they got a lot of players. I don't know if they can assemble it into a workable thing, but they're definitely going to be better than they were, I think, last year. So yeah, I mean,
I agree.
But those are big moves. I agree with you. I think Russell Westbrook to the Lakers is a no-brainer, and to me puts the Lakers at that spot, right? That if they don't get both LeBron and AD injured at the same time, they will have a chance to win a lot of basketball games.
Yeah, they have a very interesting squad, but it seems like they should win.
Can Russell Westbrook average a triple-double on that team?
So here we go. So he's managed to average a triple double on 3 different squads.
Right.
Can he do it on a fourth squad? So I would say that yes, he could, because
None of them
there's
have
going to be a lot
LeBron.
of now. Well, so LeBron is not. LeBron has always like been one of those guys. He does that hard rebound where he grabs it with the one hand and slaps it to the other hand. You know,
Yeah.
you know that move I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh yeah.
I can see him doing it in my head like 1,000 times.
Right.
But Russ is the rebounds were always the part of that Russ had trouble with.
Yeah.
He was always needing the help for the rebounds, not for the assists and the scoring. So
Right.
I think that, Russ tells LeBron in this offseason, hey man, I'm looking to move teams, and LeBron's like, hey, you want to come play in LA? We got sunshine, we got all this cool stuff, we got Disney.
Yeah.
And Russ is like, yeah man, but I'm gonna need them boards though.
Yeah, I'm gonna need at least three rebounds from
And
you every
LeBron's
game.
like, I can do that. I'll back off.
Yeah. I need.
Just come get them, bud.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I don't see it being a problem. I think that Russ will, if not average a triple double, he'll be close to it like he's been in a bunch of other years and things like that. I mean, all the time I think that we are underappreciating what Russell Westbrook does.
Here's
week in, week out. So
I think so too. I mean, I'm one that does that. I kind of underappreciate it because when I watch them go, oh well, he can average a triple double for the whole year, and then I watch his teammates, block out completely and let the ball hit the ground 6 times so he can pick up a rebound. That
I only saw
bothers
that
me.
once. I only saw that once,
It
and that was
happened more
towards
than
the end of that.
once.
I only saw that one time. That was towards the end of that one season.
I get it, but
when he was about to break it for the second year.
Yeah, how many times did he need an extra basket? Oh, well, let's just pass it to Russ. How many times did he need an extra assist? And
yeah, but I mean, if you're a teammate,
I get it.
and you have a team, this brings up a great thing. Did you watch the end of the Ravens Broncos game?
I did.
Okay, so you heard about you saw what happened.
The rushing, the 5 extra rush, 3 yard. I think they needed 3 yards to get.
They needed 3 yards
yeah.
to break 100 yards
for
to complete a
44th
consecutive game,
something like that,
of 100 yards or more rushing.
Right.
And so instead of kneeling the ball, they went for it.
Yeah.
When you have teammates who respect the work you do, the work the organization does, and everything like that, they will make some concessions, even if it looks absolutely crappy.
Did you
do it? Even if it looks terrible, you'll do it.
Did you think that was a good move? From a sportsmanship standpoint?
As a Bronco fan, I was like, meh, but I was also losing.
Yeah.
So is what
Fair,
it is.
Fair.
2 days later, you kind of review the situation and you go, man, that's a huge record.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge record.
But my thought,
my goodness.
I get it. But my thought is if you needed 3 yards in garbage time to get the record, that's not you getting the record, really. You didn't do it in a way. If
these guys have to block out and let the ball bounce
right,
a few
exactly.
times and you come grab the rebound,
right.
Is it tainted?
Yes, kind of.
Yeah, so kind of. I get that logic.
Yeah.
But, kind of looking back on that game, I'm like, it sucked, but it's a crappy thing to do. But if you're a player,
I get
if you're a Bronco player, you feel good about it. If it's your team doing it, if you're a Ravens player, you feel good about it. If it's your team doing it.
I laughed the hardest when I heard John Harbaugh say that this is meaningful, because I then went and said,
bro,
I didn't even realize there was a record. I didn't even realize that was a thing. So
you had to do something crappy, and then they had to tell me afterwards.
Yeah, and then you had to tell me it was meaningful because I didn't know that. I'm like, I get it for the morale of the team and I understand, and being in the record books, and that's an accomplishment and bravo. But I just feel like that, if you had to get the 3 yards kind of quote unquote cheaply at the end of the game when the other team kind of expecting you to kneel or quarterback sneak or whatever, I mean, take a knee as well. You should have done.
My big gripe was that Vic Fangio was a baby about it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
he was upset about it.
The
I expect you to go, well, you should have kneeled the ball.
You lose the game, you get grumpy.
Give me your best Bill Belichick and just say as little as possible while telling me you're displeased. But instead, he was like, well, we all know the Ravens, player safety is secondary to them. And I'm like, bro, just chill. All right.
Let's finish the basketball because I got a couple questions.
Okay. Yep.
Preseason title favorite right now. If you're going to pick who's going to win the NBA title this year, who is it?
LeBron and the Lakers.
Okay, and that's what I said too. So I think we're on the same page.
Just it's hard to pick against them because you feel like they've got the league behind them and they have a lot of talent. And I liked their moves this offseason.
The addition of Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony, I'm not going to discount that because I think as a sixth man, Carmelo Anthony's a great player to add on your team just from an experience standpoint. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you there. Yeah. And they added so another person that they added 2 other guys, Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah.
Those were both
they're
huge
big.
ads that I was like, holy
It
crap, they have
upgraded
these
their
guys?
team. I mean, I know they jettisoned Caruso, and I get that, but I don't think they're losing anything. I think they're getting better, just in general as a
They
team.
also drafted Mac McClung, if you're
Oh yeah.
into, Georgetown basketball and Texas Tech basketball players.
So what's the over under that we're gonna put on Portland wins this year?
43.
Ooh,
43.
Parker says 43. I,
I'm gonna
I'm
say, I'm putting 43 as the line.
That's the over under. But
Yeah,
that's
40,
what you
43 is
that's
the line. Then I'm from there. I'm gonna take the.
well, no, you can't do it that way. How many wins do you think they'll get?
Oh,
Let's do that first.
um, I think they'll get 46 wins.
Okay. And I was going to say 47. So that's
Oh,
going to
so we're right in that wheelhouse.
that's
Yeah,
going to put the
I
line
was
at
putting the line at 45.
that's going to put the over under line at 46 and a half. That's what we're going to say. So if
All
you're
right.
betting,
And so
if you're
with
betting,
so with that line, I say I think they're gonna take 40 get 46. So I'll take the under and you're taking
and
the
I'll
over.
take the over, correct. So
Okay.
that's pretty good.
So that means
So,
that means that I have very low hopes
so
for the Blazers
if
this year.
the Vegas guys are listening, we just said it. We just did it. There's the line, 46 and a half.
Put that in the books
Yeah,
before
you
you
might
start
as well.
breaking the fingers.
Right? All right. So let's do you have something you want to talk about tonight? Just anything for a minute? You got something?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I do.
So in a segment we call Your Mother Thinks I Talk Too Much, Parker has the floor to talk about whatever he wants for the next minute or so. Go, Parker.
We're gonna talk about video games because
Right.
I love video games.
Okay.
So I've been playing Madden a lot lately. I've been playing Madden online. It's like a little competitive mode and things like that. And the issue that I'm running into is that Madden hasn't changed in like 6 years. And that really grinds my gears. I want them to do something better. I want them to take it to the next level. I want it to escalate, but there's no competition for the game. And so I started looking at all the video games.
Right.
There's only one Formula One game. There's only one NFL game. There's only one NBA game. What is the incentive for these manufacturers or these game creators to create a better game? They're the only ones who are doing it.
Right.
You have an exclusive license with the NBA or an exclusive license with the NFL. You don't have to make a better game. People will eat it all up because that's the only thing that's out there. You want to play with the Broncos? Buy our game, or else have a good day. Go play Assassin's Creed or something else. That's super. That's super frustrating because I believe that we should operate in a world that is, that there's a lot of competition for our time and our money and our effort and our energy.
Right.
And that's just not what's happening in video games right now. Sports video games are very monopolized. They're extremely one-sided. And because of that, the quality of the games hasn't advanced from year to year. And, it could be the same thing could be said for like soda. It's been Coke and Pepsi and nobody else. Nobody else has tried to enter the marketplace. So those people can put out subpar products, and it is what it is. We got to deal with it. There could be a better soda out there, people.
You think we've been getting subpar Pepsi for a long time? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying they're not trying hard enough to please us.
All right.
Because they don't have to. They can just slap out and say, "Oh, here's real sugar Pepsi, whatever."
I think
Here's Pepsi with peach. We don't care.
I think
we have an excess of peach.
I think the Royal Crown Cola people would beg to differ, but that's what I mean.
Okay,
I don't know.
the few Portland businesses that are keeping RC Cola alive, like that's enough, right? Those places also don't take cards.
When does RC Cola become the new Pabst Blue Ribbon? Because
that's a great
right?
question.
Because
just being kept alive through a cult following,
right? Because that's what happened to Pabst Blue Ribbon. Don't tell me that it's good beer. Don't tell me.
Pabst is not terrible though. It's not. It's not good. It's just not terrible.
But it is what it always has been, and I don't know.
It's very true. So here's the question: If you're right now, you're trying to go out to a restaurant, and you're trying to get RC Cola. What kind of restaurant are you going to?
You can't.
I know where they're at. I can tell you two places right now where they're at.
To serve it? Who?
That serve it. They're both it's the kind of restaurant. They're both the same kind of restaurant.
Oh.
Both Asian food restaurants.
Oh, and they serve RC Cola as
they
their
both
main
serve
cola?
RC Cola, and I have no clue why. That's the thing that they serve.
It's cheaper.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know where the heck they get it.
I don't know. All that chicken is expensive. I don't know.
But yeah, so I want video games to have more parity. I want there to be other manufacturers that are making good games and things like that. So I don't have to sit here and buy I'm not buying 2K this year, NBA 2K, because
It's the
It's the
same.
same as last year.
It's just
And
different
I don't
players with
need to
different.
buy it 2 years in a row. Yeah.
Right.
You've made it a little clearer. You've added a court. You've added some jerseys and things like
Yeah,
that.
it's not that big a
But
deal.
your graphics or your base graphics and your base animations, they're all the same, and it's
I
no longer fun.
I will tell you this from what I feel about video games and sports video games in general is that at some point in time, starting in 1990 whatever, when we started having sports video games really,
Yeah.
um, the games have gotten super complicated. It's become this thing where, oh yeah, all you have to do to hit a jump shot in the NBA whatever game is hit this button and hold this button and see this little meter, and when this gets over here and his tongue hangs to the left, you let go and you're going to release it at just the right time. Otherwise, it doesn't go in. And I'm like, you should just hit the button. Jump shot, hit the button. And you can make it easier. I know there's ways to make the game.
Yeah, there's settings in the
Yeah.
game where you can change where you
The
just press
classic.
square, hold
Yeah.
it until the meter's there, and then you let go.
But
That's
it has become NFL football. Oh well, you can highlight the receiver after you throw the ball. It's just enough
You
for
can
me to
literally
throw the
call
football.
out Mike linebackers
Right.
for offensive line protection.
I don't have.
They do have arcade modes in all these that are smooth,
Yeah,
but
I
the
don't.
base mode is pretty complex. I give them the credit.
I feel dumb when I'm. I know a lot about sports, but I feel dumb when I
So
play those games.
you've been playing the Formula One game, right?
I love the Formula One game, but I'm playing it
Okay.
on easy. I'm not playing it.
Right.
There's no crash. The crash doesn't. There's no damage. Car damage. I turned
Have
it
you
like way down.
attempted the mode where you do all of your own controls? Like you're shifting and you're changing your
You're doing the
settings
whole
and your
thing?
engine power and
No,
you're
not
shifting from front.
negative.
Oh my goodness! I tried it once. I came in last place by like 2 minutes.
I have it on the
It
basic.
wasn't even close.
The basic beginner arcade mode, and I've already crashed into other players. Other.
So that's
crazies.
the point though is that these games are a little complicated, yes.
Yeah.
But there are usually modes within them that make it a little more simple, that streamline it
true.
down. But the bigger point is that none of like the 2021 Formula One game, the 2020 Formula One game, the 2019 Formula One game are all the same. Because nobody else is making one, so it's not pushing the game creators, the content creators to be better.
Got it.
And they don't have to. It's just the same crap. So I'm just tired of the same crap. People want some good crap.
That's right. And that is Peter Griffin with what grinds my gears.
Grinds my gears.
So let's talk about the trivia question, the Stave and Stone trivia question, brought to you by Stave and Stone Wine Estates in Hoover. The winery at the Vineyard is at 3827 Fletcher Drive. They're open, as you can see right here on the website, 12 to 6, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Open for limited indoor and outdoor seating. I guess the wine garden is what's open those days. They're open 12 to 6 daily, if you can read it. I mean, you can might as well. I don't even have to say it. Downtown Tasting Room is at 210 Oak Street, 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. Go on the website. You can buy wine. I think you can even still have wine delivered. But you can go on here, and there's a little blue button. If you see it right there on your screen, you make your reservation, or you can call them 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750 for more information, or you can email them for reservations at Stave & Stone, or info@staveandstone.com on their award-winning wines. So here's the trivia question was, what was it? I don't remember. There are 4 players in NBA history that have played for 12 different teams in their NBA careers, and that's the NBA record. Name 2 of them. Can you name 2 of them?
I can name one.
Who is it?
Smith. He played for the Lakers.
What?
James Smith. Begins with a J. Something Smith. Oh my gosh! So this is
Joe Smith.
This is the most recent one I can remember.
Joe Smith
played for the Lakers is where he ended his career.
He played 95 through 2011. I'll give you credit. That's one. Yeah, Joe
Okay,
Smith.
so he got this big like retirement thing when Kobe was there.
Right.
Like, well, yeah. So
he'd been playing
that's why I remember him.
Right.
I have no clue about the other ones.
So the other players are Chucky Brown, played from 90 to 2002. Jim Jackson, there's Jim Jackson right there playing for the Mavericks, 92 to 2006. Tony
He played for the Blazers.
Yeah, he played for the Blazers. I think
like early thousands.
I want to say he was drafted by the Blazers, but I could be wrong. And then Tony Massenberg, who played 91 through 2005, and then of course Joe Smith, who was a center from Arkansas originally. But your current leaders, by the way,
hold on, Massenberg. Did he play for Maryland basketball?
Tony Massenberg. I think you're right. I think that's Maryland. Yeah,
because that means that
to look it up, but
if that's true,
yeah,
yes. Hold on, Tony
I think you're right.
Massenberg.
I'm almost positive.
Oh, you think I'm onto something there?
Yep.
Yeah, University of Maryland, which
Yeah.
means that him and Joe Smith both played for the University of Maryland.
Joe Smith being from Maryland, is that
Uh,
right? Oh, yeah, it could
yeah,
be.
two
Yeah,
of the
played.
four people that have
Yeah,
played for 12 teams went to Maryland.
there you go. So the current leaders, um, Ish Smith. You've never heard of Ish Smith? I hadn't, by the way.
Ish Smith. I have heard of Ish Smith.
Ish Smith has played for 11 different teams.
Is he still playing?
Yeah, that's what I just said. They're current leaders in terms of teams played for. Is 11. Ish Smith has played for 11 teams in 11 years. He's been in the league 11 years.
I don't even know that name.
Anthony Tolliver also still playing.
I know the name Tolliver. He played for
Yep.
the Thunder at one point.
Oh, could be. I think he plays for the Grizzlies. Trevor Ariza, 10 years, 10 teams. I'm sorry.
Wow.
And Jeff Green also played for 10 different teams. So those
Jeff Green? No
those
kidding.
those are your current leaders in the NBA right now. But Ish Smith has a really good chance to get to 12 because he's only been in the league 11 years. He's played for 11 teams.
Oh,
So-
Tolliver played for the Blazers back in 2009.
Oh, it's been a
and then he
day.
played for them again 1920. Oh, that's right. We picked him up in. No, sorry. I don't know why I'm yelling.
You're excited.
That happens sometimes.
I mean, what are you gonna do? So yeah, I thought it was an interesting thing. We were talking about teams change or players changing teams and who's been
That's a
around.
good one, yeah.
Because Russell Westbrook's been on at least 3 already, right?
I'm happy I remember Jay Smith. I could not remember
Jay.
his first name.
Well, I mean J. Period Smith. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I just remember there being like a ceremony back in the day when he left one team, went to or when he was retiring. So I was like,
Retiring,
okay, yeah. So Jay Smith, okay,
Nice.
Joe Smith.
Yeah. So that is all the stuff we have for today. We went way over on time, but you know what? We had an extra couple days worth of information.
Holy crap, we
had
did
to
go
get
over
out.
by
I know,
30
right?
minutes.
But we were talking the whole time. It was moving, and
We're just
having
giving
fun.
the people what they want.
I'm right. They want more of the Best Lamb Sports Show. And if you want more of the Best Lamb Sports Show, go to www.lambsports.com, and you can check out past shows. The link to this current trivia question, which I'm going to put on there in a few minutes. But also, that's all we have for today. We're going to be back next week on the 12th, Tuesday the 12th. More college football, NFL news, MLB, playoffs are rolling. MLS, we'll see if the Timbers win again this weekend. Formula One's in Turkey this weekend. That race is Sunday on ESPN.
I'm excited about that because Hamilton's taking a 10-place penalty for changing engine components.
And you know someone's going to run into somebody. And
Yeah.
the Seattle Kraken open the regular season at the Las Vegas Knights on that Tuesday. It'll be starting while we're on the air, so we'll keep you updated on that. And there'll be all of that and more. Again, we're live streaming on YouTube every weekend. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can email us, lambsports@gmail.com. We want to thank our ESPN, ESPN.com, MLB.com, MLS.com, the NFL, the NBA, our sponsors, the Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarn, Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. Thanks for listening.